Okay. Here we go. This video is brought to you by the Magic Kennel Company. Use offer code OFFHAND for 15% off your order at themagickennelcompany.com or visit the link in the description down below. And now on to the super fast high-speed test track video. I did it.
Inside your vehicle and remain seated while traveling. Thank you. Your vehicle doors close automatically. Please keep your hands and arms inside your vehicle and remain seated while traveling. Thank you. Your vehicle doors close.
Welcome aboard the World of Motion, a slow-moving dark ride that takes you through the history of, well, motion. Please enjoy for a split second the fact that we are kind of outside before we go back inside the attraction show building. Ah, would you look at that? Horizons. How cool. You can see here a bunch of guys riding animals. Not very fast or cool compared to riding in a brand new Chevrolet vehicle. Wouldn't you agree? Wouldn't you prefer something, I don't know, a little bit more like
This. A little quicker, a little cooler, a little faster, a little more technological. That's right. This is Test Track 2.0, and it's about to go away forever.
Connecting to OnStar.
The attraction we know today as Test Track wasn't always the high-speed thrill attraction that it is now. Before your car reached speeds of 65 miles an hour outside of the show building, we were going way, way slower on World of Motion. You see, back in the 80s, Epcot was leaning a lot more on the edu part of edutainment than they were the tainment part. While some, like myself, would find these old-school Epcot-style attractions educational and entertaining, others would just find them straight up boring. I never got to ride World of Motion. It closed 2 years before I was born, but I always wanted to sort of travel back in time and experience Epcot in its purest form back in the 80s. Horizons, the living seas, the original journey into imagination, and yes, even listen to the land. Before we were living, we were listening. And of course, World of Motion. While I never got to experience it, I'm assuming if you enjoy attractions like Living with the Land and like Spaceship Earth, you would have enjoyed World of Motion, the slower moving educational dark rides. But then, my friends, the 90s arrived, and kids weren't satisfied with being educated and riding through a slow-moving dark ride. I don't know what was the matter with them. They wanted something thrilling, something that would get their blood pumping, and so Disney went to the drawing board to make Epcot more appealing to the younger generation. No, not Fuji Coaster appealing, although I wish Fuji Coaster was appealing to them. No, I'm talking about Test Track 1.0. You see, back in 1995, General Motors, who was the sponsor of World of Motion at the time, their contract was up for renewal, and instead of continuing to support World of Motion, General Motors put the idea forward to Disney for a new attraction, one that would showcase how cool, how fast, and how safe their automobiles were. And in 1995, it was announced that World of Motion would be rethemed, and it closed forever the following year, 1996, with an original scheduled opening of May 1997. But if you think new attractions having a lot of extended downtime and Disney delaying attractions opening is a new thing, no, it's really not, because the very same thing happened with Test Track. After missing the May 1997 opening date due to ride capacity issues and system malfunctions, it finally soft opened in 1998. And even during the soft opening time frame, the ride would still have issues with operation and it would go down constantly, and it wouldn't open until a full year after that in 1999. And when it finally opened, it was a resounding success and became one of Epcot's flagship attractions. Even though, for me, the queue leaves a little bit to be desired. It's got that big empty warehouse vibe that a lot of early California Adventure and Hollywood Studios had, you know what I mean? Although I will admit it was fun watching those crash test dummies just be abused repeatedly day in and day out. That was a good time. Now, after watching these ride-throughs of old Test Track, I think the thing that bothered me about it compared to the new version is that it's just so low budget. It's simultaneously like a high budget ride system with the cars, but the scenes around you, the set dressing, it just is so cheap. It's traffic cones and trash cans and metal bars. I'm immersed, but the immersion is cheap test facility, even though that probably is the goal. Does that make it better if the theme and the intent was to make it look like a cheap test facility? And yeah, of course, new Test Track has plywood sets, and like I said earlier, really feels like you're in a laser tag arena, but at least the lighting effects there try a little bit harder, you know? But you know, after all of that is said and done, both iterations of Test Track have proven to be popular, and for me, a visit to Epcot isn't really ever complete without hopping into that single rider line before I leave. In 2012, it was announced that a brand new company would move in to sponsor Test Track. Kind of. Essentially, Chevrolet would move in to be the sponsor, but Chevrolet was owned by General Motors, so it's still sort of the same company. And as part of this brand new sponsorship, Test Track would receive a retheme, something more new, something futuristic, something almost Tron-like, a brand new theme for the attraction, including new paint jobs for the ride vehicles, and a brand new pre-show, which involved guests building their own cars and seeing how it stacked up against other guests in their own ride vehicle. And while I think this idea is really cool in theory, getting to see how your car would do on the test track, I'll talk about this a little bit later, but it really did sort of hold up the line. And that was my main complaint. And that's sort of where Disney left it, you know? Nobody really hated Test Track. You know, some people would prefer the old one over the new one, but you know, it got its job done. It was a thrill ride at Epcot, and it was fun. And when it was announced that the front of Epcot would receive a massive overhaul, nothing was announced for Test Track, which was fine. It was acceptable. Test Track had already gotten that update in 2012. It would join the ranks of attractions like Journey into Imagination and, thankfully, Living with the Land that wouldn't be touched. That is, until this last week at Destination D23, where, as you all know, we got the announcement that a brand new incarnation of Test Track would open at an unspecified point in the future, taking direct inspiration from the original inhabitant of that pavilion, World of Motion. And this got me so beyond excited. And now that you're all caught up, I think it's about time to begin the theorizing portion of this video. It's what I do best. We only got this singular piece of concept art to go off of, but right away, immediately, the new cars for Test Track take direct inspiration from the World of Motion ride vehicles. The solid black ride vehicle with little to nothing else on it except for this little sort of strip for the headlights, I hope they keep this design. I hope this isn't in progress, because this is the perfect callback to World of Motion. We can also see, thanks to the side rails and the turns that the car is going through, that this is during what is now known as the responsiveness test, which currently has, you know, holographic trees, so it's nice to see that they've gone with the full real thing, and by real I mean plastic thing, but that's it. That's all we have. Now I'm going to go ahead and start us with the most important, crucial aspect of World of Motion that has to, absolutely has to, return to Test Track 3.0, and that, my friends, is the song It's Fun to Be Free, the original theme song for World of Motion, written, might I add, by Buddy Baker and Ex Atencio, who you may know from a couple of their other ditties. I don't know, A Pirate's Life for Me, maybe you recognize Grim Grinning Ghosts, The Legends. There is an homage to Fun to Be Free in the current Test Track 2.0 outside as soon as you go through those doors and start going really, really fast, but I think even if it's a recomposition or just a sample of it somewhere in the soundtrack for the attraction, Fun to Be Free is an absolute must. We need this song to return. I don't care anything else you do, I don't care. Fun to Be Free, put it in. Now, as for the rest of the attraction, what can we expect? What is Chevrolet trying to advertise, trying to push to us right now in this point in history? Says it right here, EVs for everyone. So electric vehicles is what Chevy's new sort of pursuit is, and that, you know, makes sense. Everyone's talking about how they want a brand new Autopia or a brand new Tomorrowland Speedway at Disneyland and the Magic Kingdom, respectively, with electric cars. But I'm sorry, now Test Track is going to be electrified. How? I don't know. I think the red vehicles are already electric. Now the question is, how inspired by World of Motion is new Test Track going to be? Because World of Motion was about the history of transportation. And I don't really spot any historical references in this piece of art, unless you count, I guess, trees as history. Then there's tons of history. Now, maybe some operations cast members can help me out with this, but the one thing that I think they need to drop, the one thing that is specific that just needs to go in Test Track 3.0 is the create your own car station. Now, like I said, if you're a cast member or you know a cast member who works at Test Track, maybe you can explain to me how it doesn't really affect standby wait times that much, or you can explain to me if it actually increases it by any noticeable degree. But it feels like it makes the lines longer because you have to stop in the middle of the queue to design your own car, which, granted, is fun, it just takes some time. But if they really want to cut down on wait times, the first thing they should do is get rid of Lightning Lane. But the second thing they should do is get rid of the create your own car system. It will, of course, be getting a brand new exterior and sign and facade facade and whatnot, that impressionist sculpture of a car, will be removed in favor of something else. I do not, however, think it's going to look like the World of Motion sign, because this looks like the entrance to a conference building. This is not what you want to put in front of your thrill attraction. Believe me, this doesn't look exciting at all. Here is my homemade concept for the brand new sign for Test Track. I think it really sort of drives home that it's inspired by World of Motion, while also nailing home the fact that yes, this is a thrill ride. This is an extreme attraction, hence the fire and the skulls. But then I was thinking, how do we get all the dudes, all the bros to ride World of Track? And so I put an electric guitar and a football on there to appeal to that sort of masculine demographic. But then I was like, a flower bed in front of the sign, really? That doesn't really sell the idea of a fast car-based attraction. So instead of the flower bed, it will now be a 6-lane highway leading up to Test Track 3.0. I mean, World of Track. And then I lit the whole building on fire, but the fire was blue, so it's cool. Also, be sure to pick up the exclusive World of Track t-shirts in the gift shop after the attraction. No, but seriously, they can't do this, they gotta do something else. Now, as for the actual inside of the attraction, the show scenes, the part of the ride that I've been avoiding this whole video because I genuinely have no idea what they're going to do. World of Motion was very Pirates and Mansion-y in that it had show scenes that were sort of gags, that were jokes that told themselves as you rode past. And with Test Track 3.0, I don't know if the ride is slow enough to do that, if you know what I mean. Obviously, you'll have some sort of speed test on the outside, but on the inside, what is there to offer? I mean, we have trees, maybe it's going to go through a history of highways, a history of cars, potentially. I don't know. Which raises another great point. Will it still be called Test Track? Are they going to call it Test Track when it opens? I think the name recognition in of itself is enough to keep the name Test Track around, but will it be a test track? 1.0, yes, you were a crash test dummy. You were testing this car. 2.0, you are testing your car against all of the other cars, the sim car. And now 3.0, what is the test? What is the test we are conducting? Are we going against other cars? Are we going against, the safety regulations of the state of Florida? I'm not sure. I have been stewing on this idea of sort of sitting on it for a while, and you may be asking yourself, why are you showing footage of the People Mover right now? That's not at Epcot. That's not Test Track, and you're right, it's not. But it is what I call an atmospheric attraction, a People Mover. Rides like the railroad or even the riverboats that sail around the rivers of America, those are atmospheric. They help you take in the sights and sounds and smells of the park. While yes, Test Track is indoors, this art gives off vibes of an atmospheric attraction. Maybe, just maybe, the storyline of the ride will just be cruising through different biomes and seeing how well the car holds up to them, right? You have a professional racetrack outside. You have the curvy roads through the forest that we see in the concept art. Maybe we'll visit the mountains. Maybe we'll visit the beach. You will be able to test the car throughout all of these different environments. That is my theory for what the new theme of Test Track is going to be. And obviously, Fun to Be Free is going to return. It has to. Also, I know a lot of it is backstage, but I think a little bit of theming would go a long way during the power test, the speedy portion on the outside of the show building. Right now, it's just sort of the Test Track logo with cars parked around it in a ring. I think maybe even something like a sculpture or a water feature would add a lot to that segment of the ride, rather than it just being like, hey, just focus on the speed. Don't look around you, but see how fast you're going? Pretty cool, right? But what do I know? I only said that Disney needed to improve the Haunted Mansion queue at Disneyland to compare to Disney World, and then a week later they announced a Haunted Mansion queue update. I only said they needed to bring back the Wax Candleman, only to have him return in this year's version of Haunted Mansion Holiday. What do I know? Besides absolutely everything when it comes to my predictions for attractions. So next time you go on Test Track, take a look around, admire what's around you, treasure it, savor it, or say good riddance and goodbye, because soon, I think, because of that sponsorship money, we're going to have a much superior version that also harkens back to the past of Epcot, the edutainment Epcot. And that's what I think is important, a nice middle ground. And while I may be able to predict Disney updates and new attractions with near 100% accuracy, nearly, there's no way I'll be able to predict what scent you will choose when you go to themagiccandlecompany.com and use offer code OFFHAND at checkout to receive 15% off of your order. This is the ad now. Hey everyone, it's Sweater Dallin here, reporting to you live from in the field. My favorite time of the year happens to be fall. You know why that is? It's because fall is the only time of year where I can wear a sweater and not be uncomfortable. Tiki Shirt Dallin, he gets to enjoy the summer. Then why couldn't they have made me change clothes depending on the time of year, Dallin? I don't know. Another reason why fall is my favorite time of year is because I can finally start lighting the Autumn on Main Street candle. Now, I can't touch it because Dallin Prime told me not to. I don't know why, but the smell is absolutely unmatched, and now it's raining. Good. I'm glad they sent me here this week to do the ad. Glad no one else could do it. I'm glad Rain Poncho Dallin wasn't available. But you know what candle I can smell that isn't forbidden by Dallin Prime? That's right, Christmas shop. This one smells just like a Christmas shop, but not any Christmas shop. The one that just so happens to be on Main Street, USA, the Plaza Point holiday shop, or the little Christmas shop in Liberty Square. That's the one. What is this place? Why did they send me here? So I guess the real reason I'm here is to tell you all to get in the fall spirit and to head to themagiccandlecompany.com and use offer code OFFHAND for 15% off of your purchase and to smell the Christmas candle in the rain. Good. Once again, that's offer code OFFHAND at checkout to save 15%. Whatever. It's so good to be home. And did somebody leave their weird black rock on a table that I've never seen before? Well, I get that it's free. I don't have to pay for it. Hey, Prime, I think you left something laying around. It's a really cool looking black rock. I don't know what it does, but I... All right, I don't know what he's doing. Thank you everybody for watching this video, and thank you to the Magic Candle Company for sponsoring this video. If you enjoyed this sort of journey down theorization road with me, please be sure to hit the like button. And if you're new around here, you want more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot. And you can also follow me on my other social media accounts. That's Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Offhand Disney. You can find me pretty easy. Just search like Offhand Disney on Google, and then just let the world take you where you need to be taken, you know? And of course, a very, very big thank you to all of my supporters over at patreon.com/offhanddisney. They are the ones who help keep this channel going, and I cannot thank them enough. Thank you all so much. And now, everybody, thank you all so much for watching this video. I will see you all in the next one. Hey, sorry to interrupt the end card, but do you know where the sweater guy went, the sweater one? He did just finish doing the ad spot for me. He was in charge of it this week. I found this downstairs just on the floor. But this doesn't make any sense. He's sweater down. This is like his whole thing. You're gonna have to make a call. It's like his whole thing. I do not envy you, my friend. I do not envy you. Hey, Prime, could you get down here? We're gonna need some advice.